Hi, this is Andrew. Thanks for joining me. This video is the fifth in the Python series of videos that I'm making. It will cover dictionaries and the basics of dictionaries. So if you haven't watched the earlier videos, definitely go back and take a look at any that you're not familiar with the concept. But we're going to get started with dictionaries. And a dictionary is really just a way of connecting related pieces of information. Each piece of information is stored in this key value pair thing. So we can provide a key and Python will return the value to that key. We can loop through all key pair values, all keys, all values. So it's a way of storing information about things in a pair. So we use curly braces, or they're called braces, or frequently called curly braces, to define a dictionary. We say professor 1, and then we can use colons to connect keys with values. So we can say professor 1, and the personality is the key, and the value on that personality is hilarious, obviously. So now we can say that hair is the key, that's the thing we're describing, and gray is the color, or the hair. And we can say running style, and of course, a random movie reference, pregnant yak-like. So a dictionary only tracks a connection between keys and values. It doesn't track the order. So if I were to use this, and I'll use this moving forward a little bit, I can say if we want to look at a value, we can say we defined the dictionary. We can say print professor 1 personality, print professor 1 hair, and print professor 1 name. But then you say, wait a second, we don't have name in this dictionary. We don't have a name listed here. So we're going to get an error on that. So let's actually take a look and make sure all of this stuff works as expected. So professor 1, and we can say that equals, and now we do the brace, and we do personality is, and I do close and a colon separating, and I'll stick with hilarious. Those of you who know me, don't rat me out. Quote, and now I can do a comma to separate, and hair, and I can do, and the muscle memory on this is kind of forced, when you're going back and forth, colon, quote, especially while talking. Not always the easiest thing. So running style is pregnant yak like. So now I need to go back here, like, close quote. I need to end it with an ending brace. So now I can go here and I can say print, and I'm going to put both of those, and I'm going to type professor underscore 1, and I'm going to use the square bracket, if I can find it, and then I can say what is personality. And since I have this, I'm going to just say, hey, is this working? And it is. I see hilarious. So now I'll go through the next one and say print professor 1, and I'm going to print out hair. And then while I'm at it, and just because I don't like things not lining up, I'm going to do that just so they do. Now I can do print, and I'm going to actually try to print out something that's not there. Professor 1 and name. So we should see an error there. And if when I do F5, it goes through hilarious, because that works, gray works, and then it says error, key name error, key error name. It doesn't have name in there. So that's producing the error saying you're looking for the key called name, and that doesn't list there. That's not listed there. So that doesn't work. Now I can do a little bit different. Instead of saying print that out, I can use the get method. I can say instead of print professor 1 personality, I'm going to say I'll get rid of this line. You can see there's a little redundancy there. I want to print, instead of print professor 1, I'm going to say prof hair, and that is equal to professor 1 and let's get to the right spot, dot get, and then I put hair in parentheses. Let's try that again. Professor hair, prof hair, professor1 dot get hair. So now I'm going to do the same thing with prof name, and that equals professor1 dot get. And we saw that this was an error before, so now we're going to see what it looks like when we use the get method, and now we can print out our prof hair and print prof name. And now when I run this, I get gray for hair, and the name, as we said, it returns none. So that is the get. When we use get on the dictionary, if it's not there, it returns none, which is probably more useful than an error. So moving forward, we can also specify a default value to use if the key is not in the dictionary. So similar thing, I will have everything there, and I'll just add one more to the list, prof age, and I can say professor1 dot get, and what I'm going to try to get is age, and if it's not there, I'm going to use 50 because that's a good general age for professors. That's probably where a lot of us fall, and some not far from that. So prof age. Now when I run this, instead of the none that I got on name, even though there's no name, I get 50 for the age. So that is another thing we can do with the get when we're dealing with the dictionary. So now the other thing is, what if we want to add something? What if we do want to add name Andrew, age 50? So we can say, I'm going to, let's change this to 40, because that is, now we see that that's 40. But now what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll say, let's actually add some keys. Professor 1, and I'm going to add name, and then I'm going to set that key equal to this value of, surprisingly, Andrew. Now also professor 1, and I'm going to set the age, and we saw before that when I set my age to 40, when I didn't have an age in there, it went to 40. So I'm going to set it to 50 here, so you can tell that where it's getting the number from. So when I run F5, I get my hair gray. Name is now, instead of none, it's Andrew, because now there's a value in there. We added name. And now age, instead of the default of 40, it's getting 50. So we can start with an empty dictionary and build it out as we need it. And we really can store as many key value pairs as you want until really your computer runs out of memory, things like that. So let's say I wanted to color my hair as I got when I turned 51. I can go through and say, you know what, let's go down to the bottom here. I'm going to say Professor 1 and hair and equals, and I'm going to do brown. And now, you know, at some point we all get older, and I'm going to say, well, what happens if my age is now 51? So now I can, if I print Professor 1, I will see all of the values in that dictionary. So when I do that, I get gray, Andrew, and 50, because that's what those values were when we were here and in there. And then we updated them and we say personality hilarious, hair is now listed as brown, and age is now listed as 51. So you can see that you can modify these values. Now let's say I wanted to delete a value, and let's kind of clean things up a little bit. I have hair gray. I'm just gonna simplify this to make it a little easier to read. Age is 50, and there's my closing brace, and let's get rid of all of that. And I have print Professor 1, and now I'm going to del Professor 1, and I want to delete the hair entry, the hair key. So I do hair, and then when I print the second time, I get personality hilarious, hair gray, age 50, and I deleted hair, so personality hilarious, age 50, because I deleted that key value pair. So now I can also loop through everything. So a couple of different ways to do that. Here I'm going to say favorite cookies. Instead of saying this is all information about a single person, I'm going to say this is a survey of people and their favorite cookie type. So the key in this case is the person, the value is the cookie type. So I'm going to do fav cookies, and that is equal to, or that the dictionary is going to be, and Jeb, and then I'll do a colon, and what did I put for him? Chalk chip, and then I can do CJ, and CJ likes frosted, and then Leo is double chocolate. Okay, double chalk, and then I get to Josh is oatmeal. So now I have all of the entries in my dictionary. I am going to now loop through all of the keys in the dictionary and display the name and the cookie. So for name, and I want to do name and cookie. So what I'm doing is pulling out both entries in fave cookies dot items. Now what I can do is, just like any other loop, colon, I'm going to print name plus, I'm just putting a colon between them just to make it look a little better, plus cookie. And now when I save and run that, I get a list of people: Jab Chocolate Chip, CJ Frosted, Leo Double Chocolate, Josh Oatmeal. So this is me looping through all the key value pairs in this dictionary, and just displaying them that way. And obviously, anytime I'm looping through, I can do things with the values while I'm in there. So I can say, if cookie is frosted, then do this. You know, I can do any of the things we've learned so far. So if I wanted to, I could just loop through all of the keys just to show everyone who's taken the survey, and that would be very similar. Instead of for name and cookie, for name in fave cookies, I can do name, and I'll get rid of the rest of this. And when I run that, oh, I only want keys. I'm getting the full item. I only want keys. So there we go. And now I get just the people who took the surveys. So now I have just the key values in there. And if I wanted to get only the values, it would be the same thing. I can do for cookie, and what I'm doing here, the first part of it is irrelevant. What I'm looking at here is whether I'm looking for the keys or the values. And in this case, it is the values, and I want to print out cookie. And now I can see what all of the favorite cookies are. And no, correlation name to person or name to cookie. It's just a list of the cookies. So now the other thing I could do is say, how many entries do I have in my dictionary? And I'm going to just put this down here, num responses equals, and we've used this length before, and it's, it is kind of useful. Languages, except I didn't do languages. Languages was something else. Fave cookies. That was a different example. So, I got number of responses, but I didn't actually print num responses. And there, now I have the number of responses, and if you look at it, I had 4 cookies, I had 4 people respond. So that is how, there's our length of the dictionary, the number of entries in the dictionary. So here's a lab. We're going to create a dictionary for your favorite animal, professor, sandwich, with at least 2 keys and values. We're going to add 2 more keys and values and display all of the keys and values using a loop. So let's give that a try. I'll give you a minute to think about it, and let's get going with it. So first thing I want to do is say, I'm going to create a sandwich. And I want it to be, I'm going to start out with bread. Let's do this. Bread. I'll do whole wheat this time. Whole wheat. And then I can do a comma, and I'll do meat is going to be turkey. So my basic turkey sandwich that I eat all the time. And now I'm going to, let's loop through it now. I can do 4 ingredients in I'm trying to figure out how I want to, what variables I want to use to describe this. So I'm going to say for item ingredients in sandwich. And if you remember, let's go back in the slides just to confirm. If you remember our items here, that's how we can get everything out of it. So for sandwich dot items, and then I can do I'm going to do print, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. Actually, I'm going to go up here and do print. I'm going to do a header for my list of items. So print, we'll call it item, and that's going to be bread or meat or turkey or whatever, or bread or meat or something else. I'm going to say the item is going to be listed under this, and then what I want to do is I want some tabs. So I'm going to use the escape character. I'm going to put 3 of them and see how that looks. And then I'm going to do ingredient. And we haven't used this before. Ingredients. We haven't used the tab. We've used some other things similar to that. I think later on we'll use new line. But this is a way of putting tabs in, and then kind of it can help line things up. So now here, when I print my item, and here instead of ingredients, I'm going to do ingredient item, and I'll do plus quote, and I'll do my escape tab. Let's try 3 and see if that lines up. Close quote, plus, and I will do ingredient. And let's see what happens here. Hey, that worked. So I have item bread, whole wheat, item meat, turkey. Now, the one thing that jumps out at me, I have a space there. I don't like that space there, so let's get rid of that. I think 3 tabs is too many. I'm going to try with 2 tabs, so I have to go down here. Now, it could be that my heading was long enough that I needed like 2 tabs here, but 3 here. It's just something you have to play with a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. And now the other thing is I need to add some, let's go back to my instructions, add 2 more keys and values. So this is just saying, I'm going to say, and if we go back to the slide so we can see, remember how we added, we can do right here, Professor 1 name, Andrew. So I'm going to do sandwich, and I'm going to say, I'm going to call this quote, topping 1, and close quote, and I'm going to make that equal to lettuce. And then I'll do sandwich. And because I'm not feeling overly creative, I will call this topping 2. And you notice I'm mixing single and double quotes, and that's just not, it's not a problem. It's probably better if I didn't, but for what we're doing, this is fine. Tomato. Now if I run the program, I should get my topping 1 lettuce, topping 2 tomato. So now I've gone through, and it's a pretty simple lab here. I created a dictionary. I this heading and the tabs, that was a little bit something we haven't seen before, but we did a sandwich. We did 2 keys and values, and then we added 2 more keys and values and displayed all of them using a loop. We did the for loop just like we did earlier. So that's the basics of dictionaries. There's a lot more we can do with it. That's just getting started with it. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.